Now at 3, I'm Nicole Versansky. The 19 First Alert Weather Team has you covered. Let's get you right over to meteorologist Erika Paige for a look at what's happening out there right now, Erika.
Well, and I think that time lapse was a really good picture of what conditions are like all across Northeast Ohio, because at times, sure, you may be able to see just fine because the clouds have lifted enough to where visibility not being overly impacted. But all it takes is just a few more minutes for more of that fog to settle in across the area and potentially turn very dense very quickly. So that is why we have extended the alert until 10 p.m. this evening. We really need to wait for more rain to start to work into our area to help break apart a little bit more of that fog. We need something to change in our atmosphere, and that will be the catalyst to bring us that change. So anticipate at times visibility down to a quarter of a mile or less, and this can happen pretty quickly. You can go from one side of town to the other and experience very different conditions depending on where you're at. So travel will likely be impacted as we go through the rest of the day today. Dense fog advisory in effect for everybody. This again goes until 10 p.m. tonight. I really think once we get to that 7 to 8 o'clock window, rain will start to work in from our southwest, and that should help to break this apart just a bit more. But anytime we're talking about fog, these are just those simple reminders. Keep those headlights on, especially during the daytime with a low beam so that other cars can see where you're coming from and all that good stuff. So decrease that or increase that following distance, decrease that speed. Those are all good things to remember when we're talking about such big changes in visibility over a relatively short area. Notice Sandusky, we're at 0 miles of visibility, so likely between that quarter of a mile to maybe just a few hundred feet. At times, Elyria about 1.7 miles, Cleveland now down to 2 miles, Hopkins at 2 miles, and then Burke Lakefront right around 1 mile of visibility. Elsewhere, things not looking too bad, but we've really started to see that fog descending across downtown Cleveland pretty quickly, so do anticipate some rapidly changing conditions, especially for areas a little bit closer to the lakeshore. Temperatures, also quite the differing story. You look at Sandusky, we're at 36 degrees, Hopkins 47, Akron right now 54, Worcester, you're all the way up to 56 degrees. But you go just a little farther to the south, and that's where you're starting to tap into a little bit more of that moisture, which will eventually bring us some of those changing conditions. But if you're close to the lake, we have a wind coming in out of the north, and it definitely feels very spring-like out there with that lakeshore temperature. Definitely a little bit different than where we are seeing temperatures reside farther inland. Everything quiet right now on First Alert Doppler Network, but things will start to change as we go through this evening. We're going to walk you through when that rain arrives. Continue to monitor the fog that has settled in across Northeast Ohio. This rolled in for a lot of us yesterday as we were continuing to melt away a lot of that snowpack that was left on the ground, thanks to these very spring-like temperatures. But because nothing has really come through our area to shake up this weather pattern a bit more, we are still seeing areas of dense fog across Northeast Ohio. So we have extended the alert day until 10 p.m. tonight. Of course, we will continue to reevaluate the situation as we wait for rain to move in later this evening. But I anticipate once the rain starts to move into our area, we should start to see. And there you go, live update. The dense fog advisory lifted across our area, but we should start to see conditions improving. Just know that at times we could still see visibility dropping below 1 mile as we continue on through this evening. So this is your visibility tracker, and I want to show you this starting at 7 p.m. tonight. You'll notice foggy conditions still recorded across a good majority of Northeast Ohio, but as that rain starts to move through, you start to see those color contours become a little bit brighter, indicating where visibility is starting to improve across our area. And that trend, it's going to be noticed as we go through the rest of the overnight as this big shield of rain continues to pass up towards the north. That'll give us some pretty decent conditions as we go through the day tomorrow. We still may have a little bit of light fog around the area, but winds will be elevated a bit more, so that may be a bit more difficult to see that fog really settle in. However, once we get into tomorrow evening, I do anticipate the redevelopment of some of that fog that will last Friday night headed into early Saturday as we wait yet again for another system to roll into our area. For now, things in terms of rain are pretty quiet here across Northeast Ohio. You still have to go a little farther to the south where this batch of moisture is moving in from the southwest to really see where that next system is going to be coming through. So if you have plans out and about today, you shouldn't run into too many issues with rain. We'll have to watch for a couple sprinkles close to that US 30 corridor and points to the south. But I think between about 6 and 8 o'clock tonight, from southwest to northeast, that's when we can anticipate a bit more of that widespread rain moving through our area. You'll see temperatures will stay very mild as we go through the evening and overnight. In fact, I even think we're going to gain some ground by the time we wake up early tomorrow morning, with temperatures by about 5 o'clock really warming to about the lower to middle 50s for a lot of us. A little cooler, potentially closer to the lakeshore where that lake influence is having some draw on your temperatures a bit more. But once we get past 5 o'clock in the morning, it's just downhill from there with your temperatures. Not a complete drastic drop, but I do think once we get into tomorrow evening, mid to upper 30s, lower 40s, that is going to be a more common temperature for us and starts that reset for us as we look ahead towards the weekend. Saturday right now looking relatively dry. We'll have to watch for a few late afternoon showers mixing in, but otherwise the big system that we're going to be watching actually moves through late Saturday night headed into Sunday. So some wintry weather on the way for Northeast Ohio. That will at least leave some opportunity for some light snow showers around through early next week, but temperatures a bit more seasonable for where we should be for the end of January and then that first day of February.